Well, welcome back, everybody. We are about to finish up the year. We're going to make it, and then we're going to have a great summer. I hope everybody's doing good. Man, I was excited when I looked at the results of Acts chapter 7 and how many verses that you guys have memorized and how many you are memorizing. And so I just want you to keep up the good work. I hope that I hope you worked hard on Acts. Now, here's the deal. This is what's going to happen. Tomorrow, Wednesday, no class. Okay? No class. You don't have to post. If you want to click on the assignment and see that it says no class, that's okay. But no class on Wednesday. And then Thursday, once again, you're going to go back and you're going to try to say as much of Acts chapter 7 as you can. Now, if you want to on Wednesday, you want to work on Acts chapter 7 on your own, that's fine. But I encourage you to take a little time off there and then come back on Thursday, review for about 15, 20 minutes, and then say as many verses as you can. Now, I wrote down everybody's scores from last time, how many verses you memorized. And so on Thursday, I expect you to be a little bit further, okay? And just make sure that you do it right. You're supposed to say it to someone. They can help you if you get stuck with they can give you one or two words if you get stuck. If they got to give you more than that, then you got to stop and you can't include that verse. So please be honest and do your best in that assignment. Okay, we're going to talk today quickly about Paul's letters. And so what we're going to do first is just remember, thinking about Paul's letters, remember that map we showed you last time, and we had the different churches on that map. Okay, the church at Rome, the church at in Corinth, Ephesus. And so all those churches on that map, in the book of Acts, the missionary journeys, the gospel spreads. And so Paul is writing these letters to these churches because they have problems, they have issues, they need teaching. And so that's what we need. We have issues, we have problems, we need teaching. And so that's why we got to get into these books. Even if you're a teenager and you need the Word of God and I need the Word of God, it's going to be life and health to us. And so that's why we got to study it and learn it. And so Paul's letters are awesome. And so let's look at some things really quickly here. Okay, first of all, let me share this screen and get myself up in this corner here. And then I got a little bit of PowerPoint here for you, so you don't just have to look at me the whole time. And so we're going to go through some of these quickly. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through Paul's letters and just learn a few different things about them today. So first of all, we already know the key words, but let's just see how you'll do. I'm going to give you the book, followed by the key word, and let's see if you can get it, okay? Test yourself. Romans, paid in full. Did you get it? 1 Corinthians, spanking the saints. 2 Corinthians, anatomy of an apostle. Galatians, unshackled. Ephesians, bodybuilding. Philippians, happily humble. Going a little faster now, got to be ready. Colossians, commander-in-chief. 1 Thessalonians, stay on target. 2 Thessalonians, work while you wait. 1 Timothy, leadership manual. 2 Timothy, combat manual. Titus, conduct manual. Philemon, bondage to brotherhood. So we have 13 books of Paul's letters. Now, I want you to know this. Within Paul's 13 books, 4 of them are prison epistles written from prison in Rome. It didn't seem like anything slowed Paul down. Paul always looked at things like, no matter how bad they were, it seemed like, hey, God has me here for a reason and a purpose. And so 4 of the books are written from prison. And then 3 of the books are considered what we call, they're Paul's letters, but they're pastoral epistles. And so we're going to briefly go through these today. So just a reminder, 13 books, okay? 4 of them written from prison. The other 9 were not, but 3 of them are considered pastoral epistles, okay? So you have the prison epistles, and we're not going to read through all this, but basically, just so we can move a little quicker, Paul was always concerned with these churches, these people that he had spent some time with, not all of them, but many of them that he had labored with, and that he had given a lot of his, all of them he had given his prayers to and his heart to, but he was concerned for their souls. The book of Ephesians, the prison epistles, this book here, an awesome book, 6 chapters. Chapters 1 through 3 talk about just basic doctrines of the faith. And then the last 3 chapters, chapters 4 through 6, talk about like practical Christian behavior. Some verses you might be familiar with would be, children, obey your parents in the Lord. Honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, that what? Thou mayest live long on the earth. So the idea in Ephesians is, hey, don't just learn doctrines and have sound doctrine, which is great. You got to have that, but it's got to work its way out into your Christian behavior. And then you have Philippians, the book of joy, happily humble. And so, in spite of suffering, anxiety, rejoice in the Lord. No matter what you're going through, the Lord can give you joy. It's not always difficult, it's not always easy, but that is the idea of the book of Philippians. And then you have the book of Colossians, commander-in-chief. And I wanted to read quickly a couple verses to you here. This is Colossians chapter number 1, talking about Christ being the commander-in-chief, in whom we have redemption. That's the theme of the Bible. Through his blood, the forgiveness of sin. Now here it is. Christ is the image of the invisible God. He's the icon. The firstborn over all creation. For by him all things were created that are in heaven, that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions, principalities or power, all things were created by him and through him. And so Colossians is an awesome book telling us that Jesus is the express image of God, the very likeness of God. And so it's just an awesome book. And then you have Philemon. You have Philemon, bondage to brotherhood. And if you get a chance, go through this. This is awesome. Let me just read the bottom of it. The theme of the book of Philemon is forgiveness and the power of the gospel of Christ to undermine the evils of slavery by changing the hearts of both masters and slaves so that spiritual equality is achieved. And so, anyway, it's a short book. You can probably read it in 5 minutes or less. So maybe that will wet your whistle a little bit. You can go read a little bit of that. Okay, so going back real quick, you have the Pastoral Epistles, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Philemon, and then the Pastoral Epistles. And so Paul, I'll just read a little bit of this. The Pastoral Epistles are 3 letters written by the Apostle Paul, 1st, 2nd Timothy, Titus. All 3 letters are from an old man at the close of his ministry who was concerned for his successors in the pastorate. So these leaders in the church. And so that's why we have the key words that we do with these books. And so you have 1 Timothy. Paul wanted to encourage him in his responsibility for overseeing the work of the Ephesian church and possibly other churches in that area. 2 Timothy is like Paul's last words. Paul looked past his own circumstances, his inevitable death, to his concern for the churches and specifically for Timothy. And I'll just read it here. Paul wanted to use this last opportunity to encourage Timothy and all the other believers to persevere in the faith and proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then Titus, a great book where Paul wanted to encourage Titus, his fellow brother in the faith, who he had left in Crete to lead the church Paul had established there on one of his missionary journeys. And so there you have it. There you have just a quick overview of Paul's letters, some of the key words. You have 13 of Paul's letters broken up into you have the prison epistles there, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, and Philemon. And then you have, as part of that too, you have the pastoral epistles, 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus. Have a great day. Take off tomorrow and just enjoy the day, and then be ready on Thursday to do a little bit more of the book of Acts. Take care. Love you guys. Check them.